Her fork trembled in midair, a sliver of roasted chicken dangling. As his eyes locked onto hers across the candlelit table, Daniel's silence wasn't new. He'd always been the quiet type, chewing thoughts longer than food. But tonight it felt like a blade hovering over her heart. Sarah's pulse quickened, her smile faltering under the weight of his unreadable stare. The dining room, warm with the glow of wax and the scent of thyme, seemed to shrink, the walls pressing in like a held breath. "Everything okay?" she asked, voice light but fraying at the edges. She set her fork down, the clink against porcelain louder than it should have been. He nodded, slow, deliberate, his gaze never wavering. "Just thinking," he said, his voice low like gravel underfoot. The words carried a shadow, something unspoken trailing behind them. Sarah's stomach twisted, but she forced a laugh, brushing it off as she reached for her wine. The glass was cool against her lips, but the Merlot tasted sour, like regret. For weeks she'd noticed the small things. The way Daniel lingered over his phone, not scrolling but staring, as if waiting for it to confess. The late nights at the office, plausible, given his promotion, but the excuses felt rehearsed, polished. She'd ignored them, chalking it up to stress, to the grind of their 10-year marriage. But now, as his fork scraped lazily against his plate, each sound felt like a countdown to something she couldn't name. "Work been tough?" she tried again, desperate to fill the silence. The chandelier above flickered, casting fleeting shadows across his face, making his jawline sharper, his eyes darker. "It's manageable," he replied, his tone flat, like a door softly clicking shut. He speared a piece of potato, chewed slowly, and said nothing more. Sarah's fingers tightened around her napkin, the linen crumpling in her fist. She wanted to scream, to demand what was wrong, but fear glued her lips shut. What if it was her? What if he knew? The thought slithered into her mind, unbidden, like a crack spreading through glass. She pushed it away, focusing on the table, the way the candlelight danced on the crystal glasses, the faint hum of jazz from the living room speaker. But the memory of last month clawed its way back. Her late-night texts to Mark, her colleague, the ones she'd deleted before Daniel could see. They were harmless, she'd told herself, flirty, maybe, but not crossing the line. Not really. Mark's easy smile, his attentive eyes during their coffee breaks, had been a spark in the monotony of her days. Nothing more. Nothing real. "Sarah," Daniel said suddenly, his voice slicing through her thoughts. She flinched, her wineglass tipping slightly, a red droplet staining the tablecloth like blood. "You seem distracted." Her heart thudded, loud enough she swore he could hear it. "Just tired," she lied, forcing a smile that felt like a grimace. "Long day at the office. You know how it is." He tilted his head, studying her, his eyes narrowing as if peeling back her skin to see the truth beneath. "Do I?" he asked, and the question hung there, heavy, like smoke curling in the air. She laughed again, too loud, too sharp. "Of course you do. You're the one burning the midnight oil these days." She meant it as a deflection, but his face hardened, his lips pressing into a thin line. "I saw you," he said quietly, so quietly she almost missed it. The words landed like a stone in still water, ripples spreading through her chest. "Saw me what?" Her voice cracked, betraying her. She gripped the edge of the table, the wood cool and solid under her palms, anchoring her as the room spun. "At the cafe. With him." Daniel's eyes didn't waver, didn't blink. They pinned her in place, stripping away every excuse she'd rehearsed in her mind. Her breath caught, a sharp gasp she couldn't hide. The cafe. 2 weeks ago, when she'd told Daniel she was meeting a client. She'd sat with Mark at a corner table, their knees brushing under the table, his laugh warm and too close. She'd told herself it was nothing, just a moment of weakness, a fleeting thrill. But Daniel's face told her he'd seen more than she'd meant to show. "Daniel, it was just coffee," she said, the words tumbling out too fast. "Work stuff. You know how it is with clients." "Stop." His voice was soft but firm, like a hand gently closing a book. "Don't lie to me, Sarah. Not tonight." Her throat tightened, tears prickling behind her eyes. She wanted to argue, to explain, but the weight of his gaze crushed her defenses. "It didn't mean anything," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I swear it was nothing." "Nothing." He leaned forward, his hands clasped tightly on the table, knuckles white. You think I don't notice? The late nights, the secret smiles at your phone. The way you pull away when I touch you? I'm not blind, Sarah. Each word was a needle, piercing deeper. She remembered the moments she'd brushed off, his hand reaching for hers, her turning away. His goodnight kisses met with a distracted hum. She'd told herself it was stress, not guilt. But now, facing him, she saw the toll of her choices etched in the lines around his eyes. I love you, she said, desperate, leaning toward him. Daniel, I love you. It was a mistake, a stupid moment. I didn't mean. Then why didn't you tell me? His voice rose, raw and jagged, the first crack in his calm. Why hide it? Why lie? She opened her mouth, but no words came. Why had she hidden it? Because she'd liked the thrill. The way Mark's attention made her feel alive again, like she was more than a wife, a routine, a fading spark. She hated herself for it now, but the truth burned too much to speak. Daniel stood, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor, a sound that echoed like a gunshot in her ears. He walked to the window, staring out at the darkened street, his back rigid. I trusted you, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I built my whole world around you. Tears spilled down her cheeks, hot and unstoppable. I'm sorry, she choked out, standing, reaching for him. Please, Daniel, let me fix this. He turned, and the look in his eyes stopped her cold. Not anger, but something worse, resignation. I found the emails, he said, his voice hollow. Not just texts. Emails, Sarah. Months of them. You didn't just slip up. You planned it. Her knees buckled, and she sank back into her chair, the world tilting. Emails. She'd been so careful, or so she thought, deleting every trace. But she hadn't known about the backup, the one Daniel, ever meticulous, kept on their shared cloud. Months. He'd known for months, sitting across from her at this very table, saying nothing, watching her unravel herself. I didn't sleep with him, she said, voice trembling, grasping at the last shred of defense. I swear, Daniel, it never went that far. He laughed, a bitter, broken sound that cut deeper than his silence. You think that makes it better? That you only gave him your heart, not your body? She had no answer, no way to bridge the chasm between them. The dining room, once their sanctuary, felt like a tomb, the air thick with the wreckage of their love. She wanted to scream that she'd been lonely, that she'd felt invisible, but those truths felt hollow now. Excuses for a betrayal she couldn't undo. Daniel walked to the door, pausing with his hand on the knob. I stayed silent because I hoped I was wrong, he said, his back to her. But you made it true. The door closed behind him, soft but final, leaving her alone with the flickering candles and the weight of her choices. Outside, the night swallowed his footsteps, and Sarah sat, frozen, her life unraveling in the silence he left behind.